39 seconds remained on the war game clock when the main tactical map froze, every blue unit blinking warning red. Kara Shelton didn't flinch. She merely shifted her weight on the metal catwalk above the operations floor, one hand curled around the rail, the other poised over her wrist-mounted tablet as a hush rippled through the cavernous command hall. Air tasted of polymer dust and burnt coffee. The overhead fluorescents trembled. Beneath her, rows of consoles sat manned by seasoned instructors, gray-haired colonels, broad-shouldered warrant officers, and swaggering civilian contractors, who thought their reputations were bulletproof. None of them looked up. None of them expected her to speak. She spoke anyway, discounting the hesitation that had once lived in her throat voice, measured, low, carrying farther than she'd intended. Sector Echo modules just dropped offline. They're not malfunctioning. They're jammed, no response. Fingers continued to rattle across keyboards like hail on sheet metal. Somewhere, an automated voice droned T-30 seconds until adjudication. Kara's pulse kept to its own metronome, slower, steadier, a discipline carved by her father's sniper drills and her mother's surgical calm. Backstory threaded quietly through her mind, uninvited memories spooling as instinct compared the present signal anomalies to classics she'd studied in field manuals her parents never meant her to see. At 8, she'd traced bullet trajectories with a crayon beside her father, Lloyd Longshot Shelton, while he cleaned a battered M40A5 across the kitchen table. By 10, she memorized arterial pressure gradients under her mother's guidance, learning how to keep a dying recruit alive with a shoelace and unwavering hands. The compound's legends whispered about both parents. Kara inherited their legends like a scar no one noticed until it lengthened. Now 29, she wore a standard utilities blouse that hung loose on her slender frame, sleeves rolled past. Lean forearms inked with only one visible tattoo, a discreet Morse motif that spelled hold fast. Compassion tempered her guarded poise. Earlier that morning, she'd spent an hour in the infirmary, rewrapping a trainee's split knuckle because the med techs were overwhelmed. The trainee had tried to apologize for wasting Sergeant Shelton's time. Kara had shrugged, grinning. Keeping you in the fight keeps us all in the fight. He'd left smiling, never guessing she outranked him in more ways than uniform. Tabs could tally. Her everyday competence extended well beyond bandages. At dawn, she calibrated the compound's lattice of LiDAR beacons for weapons-free play, wincing as cold dew soaked her boots. She paged through code subroutines between protein bar bites, correcting clock drift that nobody else had noticed yet. She logged 50 pull-ups, then 60, punishing herself for the additional drone she still needed to retune. Routine. Ordinary. Invisible until a crisis demanded otherwise. That crisis arrived exactly now. Colonel Marcus Ricks, exercise director, and the closest thing this testosterone thick room had to a benevolent monarch strode out minutes earlier to grant a scheduled press soundbite about modern joint force agility. He'd left the deck in the capable hands of men twice Kara's age, men who joked about her being the command center mascot no matter how many times her predictions saved them thousands in simulation maintenance costs. Ricks trusted those men. Those men trusted their algorithms. The algorithms, it appeared, trusted no one at all. 20 seconds. The female synthetic voice intoned. Kara's gaze flicked to a secondary feed, saw garbled characters replace friendly IFF tags. The enemy red team, piloted by a rival training unit housed on the other side of base, had deployed something new. A supervised adversarial AI set. Loose to probe vulnerabilities? That was plausible. But the aberrant signature overlay felt raw, human, maliciously personal. Someone inside Red must have hand-coded this exploit in the last hour. Her leather-capped stylus tapped a command. Error. She tried a buried backdoor she'd quietly written months ago during a marathon shift. The colonel obeyed, spitting streams. of unfiltered telemetry across her retina overlay. A grin tugged. They hadn't anticipated she'd kept root access. The lights dimmed, just a shade, but enough to mask the soft gasp from a tech at Console 12. He vaulted to his feet. We just lost our satellite uplink. Blue orbital assets show null. You're reading it wrong, barked Major Dufresne, his jaw set like rebar. There's redundancy. Not if the mirrors are spoofed, Kara murmured. She didn't mean to cut him, yet the words landed sharp. Heads finally angled upward. Surprise flared, then skepticism. Dufresne offered a condescending half-smile. Shelton, we'll handle it. Monitor hydration lockers or whatever it is you junior advisors. Babysit. Kara inhaled slowly, let the exhale settle her thoughts. Longshot had drilled patience. Steady, steady, breathe, wait for the wind to betray itself. But her mother's voice urged decisiveness. Cut clean, suture later. The two merged inside her like alloy temper and flexibility. She pivoted to the command net microphone, thumb hovering. This would override all SIN traffic and broadcast her orders to every blue operative actively fighting virtual battlescapes. The protocol required 2 senior signatures. She had 0. But the Wargame Charter also allowed emergency override if imminent catastrophic misscore jeopardized operational integrity. This, Kara judged, qualified. Before she squeezed the transmit stud, she caught her reflection in a darkened screen, light brown eyes sharpened by months under fluorescent. Siege, lips pressed thin, hair wound into a tight braid that brushed her collar. Young yes, too young no. The doubt dissolved. Droppa, if you've ever been underestimated. The prompt tumbled from her lips absurdly but intentionally. She'd seen social engagement used to keep recruits awake during marathon training. The phrase echoed across intercom speakers, momentarily stunning listeners into half-humorous alertness. Several heads on the floor cocked sideways as though hearing a foreign language. Kara punched her code. Static hissed. Vena pure channel. Lock. All blue units, initiate protocol glasshouse. Repeat glasshouse. Disable external heuristics, revert to local inertial nav. Transmit telemetry to node K9 only. Counterflare on my mark. She hammered a countdown into the pad. 5 seconds. Dufresne lunged. You don't have authorization. Kara pivoted, planting a boot against a chair brace, using surprise rather than force to stall him. Your authorization matrix is compromised, she said. Mine isn't. Watch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Simulated night detonated into digital noon. On every wall-length holo map, a cobalt bloom radiated from Blue headquarters, a defensive pulse of decoy signals that mimicked the Pthu spectral footprint of 15 mobile command posts. Red's missile salvos, guided by falsified orbital intel, veered wildly, consuming their strike resources in 1 minute 11 seconds. Glasshouse Phase 2 triggered. Kara's shadow drone swarm launched unseen from behind contested ridges, riding interference corridors she'd plotted last month while insomnia nagged. They skirted jamming cones and one by one, electronically, tagged each red asset with capture markers. Reports scrolled. Red Organization Node Omega, captured. Node Zeta, captured. Node Alpha, captured. Final enemy HQ flashed crimson, then inverted to blue. Mission clock, plus 0 hours 3 minutes and 48 seconds. The Wargame, a 3-day engagement designed to stress every level of Joint Command, had just ended in under 4 minutes. Silence engulfed the deck. Even the Vacae seemed to pause. Kara straightened, heartbeat suddenly audible in her ears because everything else was still. A lone clap erupted, slow, deliberate. Colonel Rick stood in the doorway, press lanyard forgotten around his neck. Well, he said, voice soft as thunder, I step out for coffee and the universe flips. He stared at the maps, then at Kara. Briefing room, now. Kara opened her mouth, but no words surfaced. She descended the metal stairs, footfalls echoing like verdicts. Officers parted. Some muttered apologies, others looked away. Halfway across the ops floor, another alert siren wrenched the air, an alarm she'd never heard during a simulation. Alternating triple tone, indicating live emergency. Screens blinked back to life, showing not red or blue, but bright amber real-world distress beacon from an inbound medevac. Flight declaring zero visibility approach and failing avionics. Rick's gaze knifed toward Kara, equal parts demand. And unspoken trust. Shelton, you're with me. Type, if you think quick thinking saves lives. Kara felt the deck vibrate beneath her boots as backup generators engaged, shunting power to rescue coordination nets. She snatched her tablet, eyes already parsing fault lines in the incoming telemetry. No rest for victors. Wargame trophies could wait. A real pilot was about to drop blind out of storm-choked clouds, and in that millisecond, she realized ending. The exercise early might not have been coincidence. The exploit, the timing, the sudden medevac emergency threads of an unseen pattern tightening around the compound. The next doors slid open on hydraulic rails, revealing the dimly lit crisis response suite. Rix motioned her through and sealed the hatch. Outside, muffled chaos built. Inside, only 2 chairs waited before a dark console, and a single blinking cursor requesting root credentials Kara alone possessed. She hesitated. An animal sense prickling her skin. Was this another test? Or the first move of something far less benign? Comment, if you trust your gut under pressure. Green matrices cascaded across the monitor like unraveling DNA. Every strand of code a pulse in Kara Shelton's veins. The cursor leapt erratically as subsystems authenticated her father's repurposed sniper coin, opening command stacks that no one else on base even knew existed. She barely had to think, her fingers found the keys as though the metal beneath them spoke. Outside the sealed blast doors, klaxons hammered a double-time rhythm, a grim reminder that this was flesh and blood danger now, not pixels. Asterisk cold open. Hook. Asterisk cloud bottom thunder shook the roof while a medevac bird with failing avionics spiraled toward the tarmac. And Kara's solution time was 30 seconds or a pilot would die. She initiated a mirror of the flight control. Diagnostic feed into the crisis response suite. Static jittered across the heads-up window, then resolved into a trembling wireframe of a 60 Black Hawk thrashing in crosswinds. Altitude, 402 feet. Collective rotor torque, unstable. Gyro reference, invalid. Automatic flight controls degraded to analog fallback. The call sign flashed, Nightshade 1. Backstory filtered in via taste of stale coffee on her tongue. Black Hawks were her mother's favorite airframes to treat casualties in, citing the wide cabin and reliable vibration profile. Kara recalled. Countless Saturdays perched on a mule pack at the airfield, counting tail rotor bolts while her mother zipped body bags. Compassion wasn't sentimental. It was operational. She toggled external sensors to feed LiDAR topography into Nightshade 1's degraded FOQA module. The helicopter's instrument cluster was blind, but if she could stream relative terrain data through a narrowband UHF handshake, the pilot might salvage a VRS, slip into controlled descent. Colonel Rix grabbed the headset, patching into base. Tower, Nightshade 1, this is Rix. I have a specialist on console. Confirm you can copy. A ragged male voice pierced the line. Opie? Tower, this is Nightshade 1, where I FR in soup. Lost both stabilators and primary HUD. Any landing. Vector, we'll take it. Kara inhaled, letting oxygen carve clarity. She initiated a compressed packet of contour data, but encryption blocked relay. She cursed softly, overriding. Her code demanded route clearance. She carved it open with a shaft of her own credentials, watching checks and spheres snap into place. When the feed went live, a tiny green reticle appeared on her screen, overlaying the wireframe bird. Link established. Immediately, torque oscillations dampened by 4%. A lifetime of one measured in autopilot heartbeats. Nightshade 1. Reset manual cyclic to match green horizon on auxiliary panel. Kara instructed, voice steady, low. Wind shear at 95 knots right, bearing 073. Bleed speed by 3 knots every 50 feet. She heard the pilot exhale through clenched teeth. Copy, matching artificial horizon. Torque settling. Damn, who is this? Rix signaled Kara to ignore. She did. Metrics climbed from hopeless to merely critical. Then the cursor spiked crimson unauthorized route request. Somewhere else on the network, a hostile agent tried to seize the LiDAR feed. Kara's eyes tightened. She executed a silent trace. It originated from inside the compound. Node label, Kadorm LAN-12. Drop a if sabotage on home turf sends. Chills down your spine. She flagged Rix with a glance. Compromised terminal in C-dorm. Could be a student. Could be worse. Handle this landing first, Rix murmured. We'll lock the rat after. Kara nodded, splitting her viewports. She iced the external penetration with a honeypot that mimicked open access while shunting the intruder into a dead subnet. Meanwhile, her main screen pulsed green. Nightshade 1 at 310 feet. Descent angle flattening. A fresh alert pinned base. Ops discovered 2 additional distress transponders inside the inbound helicopter. A young corpsman and a civilian tech, both critically wounded. Weight balance shifted. The Black Hawk leaned starboard. Kara adjusted the trajectory matrix, plotting a landing pad overlay using runway lights as visual cues despite zero viz. She patched audio. Nightshade 1, maintain current glide slope. When runway sequencers show triple blink, flare collective 5 degrees and trust the ground effect. You've got this. A pause, then a faint laugh, the kind forged in mortal relief. Roger, Mystery Angel. Triple blink, 5 degrees. Rain hammered the roof, vibrated ventilation ducts. Kara's back tensed, remembering her father teaching her to time breathing between thunderclaps to steady rifle shots. At 72 feet, AGL. Both stabilators failed completely. The Black Hawk nosedived. She stabbed the key, feeding an emergency auto-rotation cue into the onboard FM's the last digital gasp. The aircraft might accept. The altimeter rolled like dice. 40, 34. 29. Brace, Kara whispered. Though no microphone carried the word .impact. Sensors registered shockwave. The sweet lights flickered. For a breath, no one spoke. Then tower transmitted. Nightshade 1 down, skids intact, rotor. Mast compromised but crew alive. Ground teams launching. Kara slumped, closing her eyes as adrenaline back fed into guilt 6 seconds slower. She would have overseen dead friends. Backstory thread. Her mother's lullabies were casualty counts. Her father's goodnight kiss, a checklist. Now she lived in their legacy's shadow, half craving wider recognition, half terrified of accolades turning her into legend before she became old enough to disclaim it. Inciting incident arrived sooner than she could breathe out. The compromised node in C-dorm burst from honeypot and executed a physical kill switch, override attempting to shut down base power entirely. Every terminal inside the suite flickered to black, leaving only the low emergency strips along the floor. You have got to be kidding. Rix growled, snapping glowstick chem lights. Kara's wrist tablet still glowed. It's battery independent. She keyed into mesh mode, linking with surviving peer devices. Power grid schematics downloaded before lights fell, now cached. Crisis and reveal. Kara, Rix said, first name deliberate. You're leading this response. Take whoever you need. Stop them. His unblinking trust landed heavier than any. Rank insignia. She toggled base security band, her voice cold steel. Containment teams to key dorm, non-lethal engagement. Disconnect its fiber trunk manually. If you find someone on a keyboard, restrain. Copy their screen to bodycam. Through transparent bulletproof glass of the crisis suite, she could see the main ops floor. Officers barked orders in red emergency light. Major Dufresne met her gaze with something akin to awe. He made a salute that looked apologetic. She might have savored vindication, but only time for action. Rix produced a sidearm from lockbox, offered it. You're about to walk into unknown. She shook her head, sliding a tactical pancorder from her belt. Evidence first. Guns later. They exited the suite into corridor maze. Emergency lights strobed. Smell of ozone and wet concrete permeated the storm outside, forced humidity into ventilation. Prompt. Type if you think brains beat brawn every time. She and a pair of military police sprinted down 3 flights, boots slamming metal. Treads. On landing 2, backup generators kicked, restoring flickering screens in hallway alcoves. One displayed security feed. Camera outside Sedorm computer lab. Door ajar. Inside, only faint glow of monitors. They arrived to find a lanky cadet, maybe 20, slumped over a terminal. Wrists zip-tied by MPS who got there 60 seconds earlier. But the monitors told a larger story. Windows of code still danced. Under a remote session. Someone else puppeted this cadet's login. Kara traced the outbound IP string. It resolved to the North Observation Tower, a disused radar station slated for overhaul. She keyed comms. Suspect is not lone actor. Tower Charlie is active. All units converge. Colonel Rix replied. Already en route with rapid response. Make tower diagnostics safe for approach. She jacked into the dorm switch rack directly, rerouting Poe to starve tower circuits of power. A neat idea until she hit hard limitation. Tower had independent solar backup array. She couldn't remotely sever. She pivoted, backstory flashing. Her father once taught that high ground does not only provide sight, it imposes inevitability. Whoever held Tower Charlie could see whole base, maybe orchestrated the exploit. The medevac sabotage, the power attempt shaping narrative to test them or to break them. Rix gave her a side channel. Shelton, tower is winterized steel bad. Radio passes inside. We need on-site command. Kara wiped sweat from brow. I'm going. He hesitated. Take Dufresne. She bit lip. Trust me, sir. Dufresne will slow comes. I'll take Corporal Diaz. Quiet, quick. You've got 8 minutes before local law enforcement arrives and jurisdiction muddies. Copy. 8. She and Diaz donned rain jackets and sprinted into underworld of storm, rations of lightning slicing horizon. The compound's floodlights were crippled by partial outage. Only ground effect LED strips showed path. Rain flattened Kara's braid. Against spine, Diaz hustled, saw, in low ready. The tower loomed ahead like a rusted trident. Windows dark dot at 20 meters. Kara halted, scanning with eye monocle. One heat source, second floor. Another small one adjacent, maybe battery bank. Number. Movement on stairs. She signaled silent breach, weaponless but carrying flash disruptor. Diaz hooked left, covering bottom stairwell. Kara ascended, wood creaking under boots. She counted breaths, 1, 2, 3 like father taught between vector calculations. Second. Floor landing, jumbled radio racks, cables like vines. A laptop perched open on crate, its screen alive with code. No operator. Lightning strobe through window revealed something else. Wires leading from laptop into a matte black Pelican case. Diaz whispered over cum piece. I've got shapes on thermal above you. Hold, Kara hissed. She crouched, prying Pelican latch. Inside sat a transit router, software-defined radio modules. and a device she recognized only from white papers, a compact quantum key injector military prototype, rumored but never fielded. It could defeat certain cryptosystems by injecting qubit noise into handshake sequences, forcing renegotiation at attackers' will. This entire exploit. A testbed or covert theft? Panic tingled, but she harnessed it. Prompt: smash a in chat if this is the craziest tech you've heard of today. The laptop pinged anomaly. Remote session lost. The puppeteer knew she was here. A footstep thudded overhead. Diaz. Contact moving to roof hatch. Kara raced stairs two at a time, mind-slicing scenarios. Rooftop vantage might allow exfil via drone or glider. But storm made flight borderline lethal. She emerged into freezing rain cutting. Sideways, wind howled, threatening to rip hatch from hinge. Silhouette of a figure in raincoat straddled railing, clutching duffel. Don't move. Diaz barked behind her, muzzle light carving through water. The figure turned slowly, hood dropping. Kara's breath stalled. Major Evelyn Lorre, head of Red Team Design, decorated cyber warfare savant, and Kara's occasional mentor smiled with cold apology. Hello, Captain, Lorre said, voice swallowed by wind yet intimate. Kara realized then, this was never sabotage, it was a rogue proof-of-concept demonstration, and she had been both test subject and witness. Why? Kara shouted. Lorre gestured to base below. They'll never modernize unless someone breaks them first. I needed you to prove a point to end complacency. Lightning illuminated Lorre's eyes, haunted, resolute. Then she tossed the duffel into air. Wind snatched it into night. Something inside beeped fast. Diaz swore, diving to retrieve, but the bag vanished over railing. Lorre stepped back toward edge, intent plain as sunrise. Evelyn. Stop, Kara pleaded, stepping closer, palms out. We can fix this together. Lorre's expression softened, almost maternal. You always could see solutions others missed. But some things need sacrifice. She pivoted, heels sliding over slick metal. Kara lunged. Rain and thunder swallowed the rooftop. As two silhouettes collided near the abyss. And the world tilted. Resolution and reflection asterisk fractured mid-sentence. Kara felt Lorre's coat fabric tear beneath her grasp as weight shifted. She anchored one boot under guardrail, arms stretched, muscles screaming. Lorre's hand slipped away, cliffhanger. Tap if you're holding your breath right now. And then nothing but rain/darkness filled the space where Major Evelyn Lorre should have been. Kara Shelton's outstretched hand snapped closed on empty air, momentum pitching her forward over the guardrail. Instinct, honed by years of rope rescue drills, seized control. She dropped her weight backward, boot still wedged beneath a rusted flange, hamstrings burning as gravity wrestled her center of mass. Sheet metal screeched underfoot. For one vertiginous heartbeat, she hovered half angel, half anchor before jerking upright, breath ragged. Raindrops battering her cheeks like shrapnel. A dim hope clawed through adrenaline. Maybe Lorre had found some way to catch the service. Ladder. Maybe a sickening thud echoed from the tower's lower mezzanine roof, followed by the clatter of collapsing ductwork. Kara flinched. The sound painted brutal certainty. She spun, signaling Corporal Diaz to secure the hatch while her gaze searched the murk below. Lightning cracked, offering a strobe of cold illumination. 40 feet down, the Major's raincoat lay draped across a ventilation cowling, motionless. Arms twisted in angles that screamed bones, not joints. Kara's chest tightened. Professional detachment collided with personal grief. Lorre had written half the cybersecurity curriculum Kara secretly devoured on late nights. Mentor, sometimes. Rival, always force of nature, now lying broken beneath hurricane skies. Diaz moved to descend, but Kara grabbed his sleeve. No, triage can't help if the tower detonates. The duffel, where did it land? Diaz swept his light across the compound perimeter. Wind-whipped trees bowed like penitents, and in the gloom a flicker of red LED pulsed behind the motor. Pool fence. There. The device beeped again faster. Drop a, if your pulse just spiked. Kara keyed her wrist mic. ED, we have a live unknown payload near Bay 3, Origin Tower Charlie, timer active. Full containment protocol, no radio triggers. Command net crackled. Copy, EOD en route. 3 mics, 3 minutes. Kara knew from ordnance tables that a pulse LED tempo of 80 beats per minute often preceded either data wipe or shaped charge. In a storm, this violent remote signal interference could misfire a failsafe, turning cyber weapon into kinetic bomb. She turned back to Diaz. Rain sluiced down his face, erasing any trace of bravado. Major Lore? He asked. Not the priority right now, Kara murmured, though grief lanced her gut. We need to isolate that router rack. They descended into the tower's second-floor equipment room. Racks hummed on battery backup. LEDs flickering like dying stars. The quantum injector still hissed faintly, cooling cycles half complete. Kara's fingers fluttered over the touchpad, exporting volatile memory images to her tablet for later forensic autopsy. A line of code streamed across the terminal, a post-execution note left by Lore, time-stamped seconds before the rooftop. Confrontation. Greater than asterisk. If they ignore brilliance, hit them where they're blind. They'll notice the dark. Asterisk. Kara swallowed hard. This was never about sabotage for sabotage's sake. It was a brutal demonstration. But for whom? Base brass? External. Stakeholders, or Kara herself? A second message scrolled abruptly, originating not from stored memory, but from an active remote session still burrowed inside the mesh network, greater than asterisk delta key upload complete. Phase 2 relies on you, Captain. Asterisk, her breath hitched. Someone else, a collaborator, was still online, using the Greek delta as identifier. They wanted her engaged, perhaps believing she'd decipher the next move. She isolated the session, but before she could trace deeper, a sudden churn of static erupted across. All channels. Base alert. Airspace violation. Heads-up feeds auto-popped on her tablet. Multiple micro-UAVs identification, unknown, had breached the outer defense ring, weaving through the thunderstorm like mechanized hornets. Numbers climbing. 11, then 16. Inciting incident inside an incident. Kara keyed Colonel. Rix, we've got hostile drones inbound, likely semi-autonomous. Quantum injector on site suggests remote handshake was prepping their command keys. Rix's voice, taut yet iron-sure. Understood. Point defense grid is still rebooting from earlier power cut. You'll have to shepherd intercept manually. Roger. Behind. Heard Diaz cursed softly. He'd opened a crate inside. Half-assembled counter UAV rounds lay inert, lacking targeting modules. The sabotage web extended even into ordnance inventory. Everyday competence rose in Kara like tide. She slid to knees, plucking microchips from quantum injector spares, splicing them onto the warheads. Her fingers, though trembling, executed. Soldier, precise solder joints. Diaz stared. Where'd you learn that? Dad used to make me build scopes from scrap, she replied, voice distant. I learned if you can't find the tool you want, turn what you have into the tool you need. Prompt. Hit. If DIY solutions give you life. Within 90 seconds, they had 6 smart explosive darts ready. Not enough to stop every drone, but maybe to cripple the swarm's relay nodes. Kara scanned the incoming flight vectors. The UAVs formed a pincer formation toward the data center annex, the digital heart of the compound. If destroyed, months of classified research would be lost. Worse, the annex housed remote medical records for every wounded soldier currently en route to treatment. Lives were literally on that silicon. She subvocalized to Rix. Recommend activating passive decoy beacons. Route drones away from Annex. Passive beacons offline, came a grim reply. Their frequency files were wiped in the outage. So, the only thing left to throw in the drone's path was herself. She swallowed dread. Sir, I can manually project a false signature from Tower Charlie's transceiver. They'll redirect here. Rix hesitated. That puts you inside there. Kill radius. Better me than the medical wing. A long pause. Then, do it. We're moving quick reaction team to cover your egress. Backstory thread resonated. Her mother's mantra **, if you can steady your hands for a pulse, you can steady them for anything. Her father's echo wind, distance, consequence. Measure all three before squeezing the trigger. * she toggled. The tower's rooftop directional panel, reprogramming its beacon to mimic a high-value server node. Instantly, drone swarm telemetry bent toward her location. Rain flattened into needles as prop wash churned the storm. Diaz stared out. Slit window. They're coming, really coming. Then let's greet them. Kara handed him 3 of the jury-rigged darts. Aim for the lead triad, those 3 bigger silhouettes. Each houses mesh backhaul. Diaz nodded, nerves overriding words. They ascended again, burst onto the roof where wind roared like a wounded beast. Kara knelt by Lore's crumpled form, no time for full assessment. She felt along the carotid. Faint pulse flickered. Evelyn, stay with me, she whispered. No response. A whine cut through thunder as first UAV banked overhead. Cylindrical. Fuselage glittered with rain. Ventral hardpoint carrying unknown cargo. Kara spoke to the sky. Diaz, on my mark now. They loosed the darts. Tiny solid fuel rockets roared, painting brief orange arcs before blossoming in microbursts. 2 drones pinwheeled, wings shearing, engines coughing smoke. The third survived but faltered. Swarm reconfiguring around gap. The remaining drones accelerated, vectoring for the beacon at tower apex. Kara flooded power into broadcast to keep their attention. Her heart hammered. Each beat seemed an eternity. 3 more darts screamed. One missed, exploding against cloud. Another clipped a drone, shredding its guidance vanes. The last found its mark dead center, chain frying the mesh network. Telemetry spiked. Chaotic drones lost coordination, scattering like startled birds. Several collided mid-air, raining debris, but 4 slipped through carnage, diving toward Tower. Diaz emptied magazine of his carbine slugs, pinged off composite hulls. 1 lucky round pierced battery on nearest drone, which spiraled down. 3 left. Kara yanked her sidearm. Lore's drop holster still latched to the major's belt. She drew it. The pistol felt alien but essential. She aimed, exhaled, squeezed. Her father's lessons fused with mother's calm. A single round punched into drone intake. It coughed flame, tumbled. 2 left. A sudden alarm on her tablet. Duffel device armed arming ++. The beep sequence hit critical cadence. Detonation imminent. Her curse drowned in wind. Iyad wouldn't reach in time. Diaz, new priority, Duffel. Before he could move, a drone slammed into port catwalk, exploding. Fireball lit the rooftop. Shockwave hurled Diaz sideways. His helmet clipped railing with clang. He slid unconscious toward edge. Kara's pulse jacked. She sprinted, catching his vest straps inches before he toppled. Rain mixed with rising smoke. The final drone nosed in, autopilot hunting. She had one. Bullet left. She scissored her stance, leveled pistol one-handed, the other anchoring Diaz. Thunder rolled. She fired, silence, then drone's nose cone burst. Engine spitting sparks before machine dropped like stone. For a sliver of time, only rain existed. Kara dragged Diaz to relative shelter under radar dish. Checked airway steady. She tightened his chin strap. Her wrist alarm still screamed. 20 seconds to event on duffel payload. Decision tree flashed. She could sprint for motor pool. Attempt manual disarm, or sever remote trigger via quantum injector salvage. But time, type if impossible deadlines fuel you. She ran downstairs 2 at a time, lungs burning. Second floor, past gear racks through stairwell, into muddy courtyard. Wind hammered, pushback heavy. LED blink escorted her. 5 pulses left. She skidded beside the duffel. Rainwater pooling around electronics. Beeping now a continuous whine. She ripped zipper inside. The router cluster plus a compact-shaped charge rigged with mercury tilt switch. Any jostle could detonate. Her chest tightened. No safe disarm. But she spied adjacent drainage culvert, funneling storm runoff into subsurface cistern. Water depth likely 6 feet and rising. She exhaled father's cadence, then lifted the duffel. Carefully, cradling weight like an egg. Every tremor risked detonation. She shuffled the culvert grate, pried it with multi-tool. Metal screeching. 10 seconds. She whispered apology to unseen engineers who'd treat flooded electronics later. Then, she slid the bag gently into frothing torrent. Water engulfed device. Mercury switch frozen by hydrostatic dampening. The beep stopped. Lightning flashed. No explosion followed. Kara collapsed to knees, soaked, shaking. But victory evaporated instantly as her tablet lit with new message. From Delta Key, greater than asterisk good. You saved the files. Now can you save the people? Gatehouse sensors clock an anomalous convoy inbound. ETA 7 minutes. That's phase 3. Lead or follow, Captain. Asterisk her throat constricted. Multiple assaults in rapid progression, all orchestrated. Lore the visible. Insurgent, Delta Key the unseen conductor. And the next act already on stage. She forced herself upright. Contacting Rix. Potential hostile convoy approaching main gate. Unknown allegiance. Suggest full lockdown and drone recon. Rix, voice steeled. Gatehouse confirms visual 6 vehicles, military pattern. But transponders scrambled. We're scrambling QRF, but you're closest to motor pool. Can you intercept with MRAP blockade? She glanced at her trembling hands. Too much adrenaline, too little time. Yet answer had to be yes, on it. Backstory flickered. Her first driver's lesson at 15 behind wheel of surplus. Armored truck her father restored for auctions. He taught her that torque only matters if you trust the road beneath. She'd laughed, flooring accelerator across. Desert flats. Dust plumes trailing like meteor tails. Now she would bet lives on those teenage memories. She clambered into the nearest mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle. Fingers dancing over ignition toggles. Systems faulted, some saboteur had pulled fuses. But she found spare winked inside glove box, jammed them home. Engine roared. She keyed public address. Anyone with combat driver qual, meet at motor pool pronto. Only static answered. Units were already stretched thin. Fine, solo it is. Differential locked, she punched headlights, steering into storm-slick access road. Wipers fought flood-sheeting rain. Each gust threatened to shove 25-ton beast sideways. Half-mile ahead. Perimeter lights revealed silhouettes. Of 6 vehicles, 2 troop carriers, 4 escort SUVs rolling steady. She keyed thermal. Windows dark, no heat signatures visible, likely armored plating masking interior. That spelled professional. She parked crosswise across gate mouth. Bracing for impact, prompt. Smash if you'd stand in the breach no matter the odds. Through windshield deluge she saw convoy brakes flare red. 40 meters of tension. Loudspeaker from lead truck crackled. Unidentified checkpoint, stand down. We are authorized to secure facility assets under task order Indigo. Kara frowned. Indigo? That was the Cody name for deep audit teams who reviewed tech programs, but they never deployed unannounced or armed. Unless higher command feared security compromise, that could be legitimate. Or counterfeit. She thumbed radio to encrypted admin band. Team Indigo, transmit and decrypt challenge Alpha 7 in 3 seconds. Silence. The lead trucks. Turret hatch popped, revealing a figure in matte visor, leveling a less than lethal launcher, or maybe more than. Kara's stomach chilled. She revved engine, bullhorn ready. Convoy, stand down, or I will immobilize. Instead, the truck accelerated straight for her. Cliffhanger twist knifed reality. She slammed MRIP into gear, torque growling. Tires spun, traction uncertain. And that's when the night ripped apart. The convoy's middle SUV erupted, tossed skyward by explosion. Shockwave rocked Kara's cab. She gawped as flaming wreckage pinwheeled. Someone else ambushed the AMBUSHERS.in. Rearview, she saw dark figures on ridgeline firing suppressed rockets. Phase 3 wasn't a single wave. It was overlapping strikes from different agendas, each blindsiding the next. Kara gripped wheel, knuckles white. Tap, if you sense this storm's only getting thicker. Sirens wailed compound-wide. Unknown rounds pinged off MRIP armor. She had to decide. Engage convoy remnants, confront ridge attackers, or retreat and regroup. But her decision snapped when HUD flashed. **** internal comms breach, suite. Lockdown ****. Someone now controlled crisis suite doors where Lore's illegal. Code still ran. If they accessed Delta Key footprints, they could blackmail nations. Her world shrank to triage of impossible choices. And through static, a child's quiet voice whispered in her earpiece, the spectral calm of a digital ghost, greater than Captain Shelton. Will you dance? Her blood iced. No call sign, no trace. Just that question. She opened mouth, but headlights exploded as rocket struck MRIP hood. Metal shrieked. Everything flipped. Hit, if you can't look away. Metal slammed against bone as the MRAP cartwheeled, and Kara Shelton tasted copper before she felt the pain. A concussive roar drowned every other sense. Windshield shards glittered like lethal confetti suspended in slow motion. Gravity flipped, then slammed back, then spun once more, an earthquake trapped inside a steel cage. She braced instinctively, arms crossed over helmet visor, spine compressing against harness until the buckle sheared, and she was free-fall weightless inside the tumbling machine. When the wreck finally settled on its side, thunder still rumbled overhead, but the world itself fell eerily silent. No bullets, no engines, only the patter of rain through ruptured door seam. Smell of diesel and hot wiring burned her nostrils. She forced eyelids open. One lens of her tactical goggles was cracked spider glass, giving half her vision a kaleidoscope filter. The other lens showed flames licking over crumpled hood inches. Away from her face, backstory thread surfaced unbidden. Her mother's triage drills, check airway, breathing, circulation, disability, exposure. She obeyed blindly. Airway clear. Breathing ragged but steady. Circulation questionable. Blood trickled warm down scalp. Disability minimal. Exposure critical. Vehicle could explode. She snapped seatbelt remains, crawled toward windshield gap. Sparks spat above. She kicked once, twice, shoulder to metal. The frame groaned. A third strike with boot heel popped the hinge. She slithered out into storm-wet mud, hissing as torn quadriceps protested. Lightning revealed chaos. The convoy lead truck lay nose down against outer fence, driver's door flung wide, cab empty. 2 escort SUVs still burned, paint bubbling. The troop carrier battered but mobile backed hastily, gearbox whining, trying to escape whoever fired the rockets. On ridge line, muzzle flashes strobed like paparazzi at the world's worst red carpet. Kara wiped blood from eyebrow, drawing pistol one-handed. She scanned charred MRAP for salvage. Miraculously, Cum's rig still intact. She yanked headset cable free, clipped to collar. Static howled, then resolved into Rick's voice mid-shout. I again, gatehouse under attack by unknown assailants. In Woodland Riggs, Shelton report. She coughed smoke. Alive, IP disabled. Ridge shooters appear separate hostiles. Convoy attempted forced entry. Might be diversion or competing faction. Her assessment barely ended when a quad-rotor drone buzzed past at head height, lights out, edges glistening. Reflex pulled her to ground. The drone zipped toward troop carrier engines and detonated a shaped charge the size of a soda can. Fireball surged. Carrier's axle snapped. Survivors scrambled into night. Kara realized the Ridge fighters commanded advanced drone ordnance surgical. Small, terrifying. Whoever Delta Key backed refused ground combat. They preferred remote scalpels, prompt. Drop a, if you think. Brains can beat brawn and bots. She dragged elbow inches to a discarded convoy radio pack, keyed mic. All unidentified forces cease fire. Identify yourselves. A woman's voice answered, accent hard to place, crisp. Stand clear, Captain Shelton. Our quarrel is not with base personnel. We require the Delta Key payload. Surrender it, and we vanish. Kara's pulse slammed her eardrums. Payload is compromised. Major Lore is critical. Evac demanded. No. Time, the voice replied. Timer already runs. We're the surgeons removing malignant code before the patient devours itself. Surgeons? That mirrored Lore's earlier rhetoric. Break complacency. But these shooters broke flesh, not just systems. She needed intel. She keyed Rix privately. We have third party claiming to sanitize Delta Key, possibly corporate black ops. Need eye in sky. Gray Eagle launching, Rix said. ETA, feed 5 minutes. 5 minutes might as well be 5 lifetimes. Kara surveyed gate. Rain-flooded ditches could grant stealth approach to Ridge, but she was lone. Outgunned. Inciting incident layered. Base sirens now rose again, inner alarms, not perimeter. She patched channel. The friend's voice. Intrusion inside data, annex. Multiple tangos in researcher wing. Her headache swelled. Attackers inside and out, drones overhead. Lore dying on tower, Diaz unconscious, medevac survivors wounded. And Delta Key orchestrator still whispering. She could not multiply herself, but she could divide her enemy. Strategy her secret fort needed. Applied. First, gate triage. Disable remote drone operator sightlines. She eyed floodlight arrays still down due to sabotage. But she could use that. Deploy smoke to blind thermal scopes while jamming radio. She sprinted direct SUV crate bed, retrieving 2 phosphorus canisters, pulled pins, lobbed them into upwind road. White plumes billowed, fusing with rain into opaque curtain. Second, cut infiltration. She switched comms to annex security. Chief, a stoic Drarka sergeant named Rye. Rye. Lock blast doors section B through F. Reroute vents to negative pressure to stall tear gas infiltration. Already on it, ma'am. But intruders were rebrothers. Kara cursed. She required surprise. Divert all hallway strobes to stroboscopic overdrive, 20 Hz. That'll force them to slow or risk vertigo seizures. Copy. Third, gather. Allies. She hailed Student Squad Beta, fresh from VR simulation but physically stationed near Motor Pool Barracks. They idolized her after last year's hack and rescue demo. Beta Group. I need volunteer sharpshooters to mark Ridge snipers with IR beacons for Gray Eagle. Non-lethal lasers only. Can you move unseen? Their enthusiastic chorus, yes, Captain, warmed her battered spirit. Prompt. Type. If you'd answer that call. Everyday competence reclaimed her. She rewired Mayor AP's still functional FLIR masked to portable tripod, pointing its smoke curtain to watch silhouettes. Adjusted gain threshold so friendlies hidden, hostiles. Bright, drifting shapes glimpsed. 3 convoy mercs creeping along fence, rifles up. She aimed pistol, but foot drag made accuracy risk. Instead she toggled MAR AP horn-blaring siren. Mercs froze. Snipers on Ridge knee-jerked, launching micro-missile that streaked low, blowing mud behind mercs, driving them flat. confusion. Seated. Kara crawled to rusted tool chest, found one hydraulic line and flare gun. Idea sparked. She hacked line, pressurized diesel mix inside flare. She fired into sky. The flare blossomed into roiling crimson cloud. Radar reflective, thanks to metallic additives once used for chaff. Ridge drone guidance radars would bounce, error out. Buying more seconds. Thunder overhead, parted to reveal UAV silhouette gray. Eaglet's high-resolution feed overlay streamed onto wrist tablet. Snipers glowed white against dark ridge. Kara radioed beta team to laze targets. Within breaths, tiny IR spots danced on feed marking 6 shooters. Rick's authorized remote. Hellfire? Unwise near base. Instead, Kara suggested Dazzler burst. Gray Eagle's onboard high-energy light emitter. Rick's concurred. A silent flash lashed ridge, overloading night optics. Sniper staggered 2 tumbled downslope, gear clattering. Gate. Situation pivoted. Remaining convoy mercs realized defenders regained upper hand. They dropped weapons hands high. Kara ordered MPs to detain, but a next fight escalated. Dufresne frantic, they breached cold storage vault stealing portable drives. Kara's jaw clenched. Those drives hosted quantum crypto seeds for NATO partners. Delta Key overshadowed everything. Its holders could ransom nations. She sprinted, legs wobbly toward annex, limbs ignoring protests. Mud-slick corridors, flicker lights, acrid smell of pyrotechnics. Her heart drummed like war drum. She reached vestibule where strobe pulses. Painted adversaries as broken stop-motion ghosts. 2 black-suited intruders staggered, woozy. She used baton to sweep legs, cuff wrists with flex ties. A third intruder jammed stim gel to regain focus, raising suppressed SMG. Kara dove. Behind lab trolley. Bullets shredded glass screens overhead. She rolled. Grabbed saline fire extinguisher. Blasted stream into gunman's mask vents. He choked, vision smeared. She closed gap, jabbed baton into brachial plexus. Gun clattered. Backstory thread. Her mother's combat medic course taught nerve clusters. Father taught follow-through. She zip-tied him. 2. Sirens ceased power, fully restored thanks to engineering teams. Light steadied, revealing a neck littered with papers, sparks. Kara scanned vault door. Still locked. Relief rippled, but Delta Key. Whisper returned. Voice piped through facility PA. Clever girl, sealing memory instead of chasing illusions. Yet illusions sometimes bite harder than reality. Suddenly, every screen in corridor displayed live video. Medevac corpsmen and tech survivors she helped land now bound inside a supply cage. A masked figure held shockblade near their necks. Asterisk Phase 4 begins. Exchange drives for lives. 2 minutes. Asterisk Kara's stomach twisted. She toggled private channel to Rick's. Hostage feed compromised. Likely inside medical wing. Rick's. We have QRF 2 corridors away, but surgical walls labyrinthine. Without blueprint, we'll be late. Blueprint. Kara possessed 3D map. In her head from years calibrating sensors. She took point, sprinting through maintenance chute, heart-punching ribs. Halfway she encountered Corporal Diaz, dazed but mobile, head bandaged. He refused medevac. I'm in, ma'am. Together they navigated unlit passage smelling of disinfectant. Diaz covered rear. They reached supply cage door. Inside, hostages wide-eyed. Blade wielder turned shockblade, proving non-lethal. Maybe but lethal enough near arteries. Kara raised empty hands. You want Delta Key, you need me alive, release them. Voice disguised vocoder. Drives, now. Kara slowly produced generic hard case the drives. She tossed halfway. Attacker. Kept eyes on. Kara flicked wrist. Case popped open, releasing high-frequency flash charge, Lore's old trick she'd salvaged earlier. Delta Key voiceover. Fail-safe activated. Final payload unlocking in 20 minutes unless master key inserted. Only she holds biometric cipher. Her life ends, cipher dies, payload releases. Kara froze. Moral trap. Save Lore. Give Delta key. Control. Or lose Lore and doom world to unleash. She lacked clarity on payload's nature. She needed intel. She hailed base science chief Dr. Medina. What can Delta key release? Medina answered, tone grave. Preliminary code review shows. Adaptive worm targeting satellite constellations. Could blind global GPS for weeks. Blind GPS meant grounded aircraft, halted shipping, mass economic chaos. Stake soared. Kara inhaled. She had 20 minutes to retrieve Lore, decode cipher, disable payload, all while Ridge shooters may be regrouping. She ordered compound lockdown level Omega No exfil without her clearance. Asterisk. Everyday competence asterisk metamorphosed into exceptional command. She assigned units, PETA students to drone reconnaissance, engineering cores to sever satellite uplink dish, Rise Gurkhas to secure med-wing perimeter. Then she glimpsed message on her tablet from unknown identity, tag his IGL. Greater than asterisk captain. You're playing against yourself. Delta key is not enemy, it's mirror. Recognize voice? Asterisk the message embedded waveform analysis file. She ran spectral decode. Delta key's voice frequencies overlapped with her own? No, very close. Genetic female relative. Her mother died years ago, or so she believed. Could it be deepfake? Or stunning truth? She staggered, catching wall. Memories of mother's field hospital, of hush at funeral casket closed by military decree. Had there been a body, sirens distant, she shook confusion. Focus now, she stormed med bay. Gurkhas made corridor. Inside, Lore rested under sedation, and 4-pump beeped. But monitor feed hijacked by Delta key overlay still showing Lore alive. It's fresh. So hijacker inside network, not physically present. Yet biometric cipher in Lore's subdermal chip must be extracted. She sterilized scalpel. Located microchip site along clavicle, knew from reading Lore's research on secure implants. She asked med nurse for lidocaine, performed quick incision, retrieved rice grain capsule, handed to data tech. Delta key voice mocked. Captain, taking keys without understanding locks. Countdown reached 12 o'clock. She dashed to crisis suite, now secure, where engineering plugged chip into isolated reader. She typed passphrase Lore, used phrase det vires, Latin teeth of power. Boot sequence revealed encrypted partitions and emergency destruct code requiring second factor. Kara's own father's sniper coin. Why coin? Lore had stolen it earlier? No, she borrowed it from Rix. Actually coin with Kara now. She slid token. Prompt accepted. Partition open to internal doc. Project Hard Stop and Autonomous Defense AI. Originally commissioned by Allied Coalition, but shelved. P-Key Group planned to leak Hard Stop into Darknet to force adoption of more resilient security. Their actions mixture of vigilantism and terror. Below, CNCEL subroutine available if voice override phrase, spoken by file author, Lore. But Lore unconscious. Kara recorded Lore's murmurs earlier. She had body cam. She found snippet. You always could see solutions others missed. She synthesized voice sample with context to craft phrase. She spoke phrase into mic. Algorithm. Accepted 92% match. Deficiency flag, but viable with admin override if captain sign off. She pressed cancel. Progress bar crawled. T230 key sent final message. Well played. But some fires burn after embers fade. Suddenly, power grid spiked. UPS units overloaded. Crisis suite lights dimmed. Shadowy figure emerged at doorway. Major Dufresne, weapon raised, expression conflicted. Kara. Step away. Command authority orders retrieval intact. Betrayal. Whose authority? She spat. The Directorate. True chain. You've done well, but now stand aside. He advanced. Gurkha Guard lifted rifle. Dufresne shot first non-lethal. Gel round, but knocked guard flat. Kara had no sidearm left at med bay. She slid behind console, shielded by ballistic glass. Cancel process 70%. Dufresne keyed kill switch to abort cancel. She wrenched mains breaker lever. Sparks flew, console screens blanked. Hard stop cancel uncertain. Dufresne cursed, lunged. She grabbed surge protector, hurled. It collided, dazing him. They grappled, crashing into rack. Red emergency lights bathed scene. Diaz arrived limping. Tackled Dufresne with body check. They wrestled. Dufresne punched Diaz's injury. Diaz faltered. Kara grabbed fallen gel weapon, set to 50 joule, fired into Dufresne's torso. He convulsed, collapsed. She reconnected power. Praying cancel resumed automatically. Loading bar reappeared, stalled at 89%. She tapped diagnostic. One final handshake awaited. Satellite link still active via emergency antenna cluster on tower. Charlie's roof. She had to align dish to transmit termination string, but dish manual since sabotage. She must climb again. In storm. T110. Prompt. Smash. If you'd climb lightning kissed metal for duty. She sprinted across compound. Rain returned heavier, like ocean upended. She reached tower base, ascending elevator long offline. She mounted ladder rungs slick with algae, every muscle screaming. Nearing roof. She saw silhouette one Ridge sniper, earlier captured, now free, splicing cables to dish. He aimed pistol, upward. She froze. Time bled. He shouted. Back off or feed live. She steadied breath. Your pawn. The game changed. Cancel code almost delivered. Help me, and you walk. He hesitated, pistol wavering. Storm cracked. She continued. Fire will blind world your employers too. Save everyone, including yourself. His jaw clenched. He lowered gun, stepped. Aside. She reached dish controller. Input orientation coordinates displayed on wrist. Motor groaned, slewing plate to point zenith. She manually keyed final packet from tablet. Finger hovering over transmit. Countdown 0:15. An alert flashed. Voice confirmation needed. Lore's voice. Kara cursed algorithm fallback. She toggled tactical net to med bay. Nurse patch. Lore still sedated, but they could stimulate. She barked instructions. Administer. Neurostimulant carefully. Nurse shaky but obeyed. Lore's weak voice crackled. Kara? Evelyn, I need phrase. End complacency now. Say it clear. Lightning overhead. Signal hiss. Lore whispered hoarse. End. Complacency, now. Kara slammed send. Packet transmit. Bar reached 100%. Hard stop neutralized. Satellite. Uplink cut. Relief flooded. She exhaled. Then tower trembled. Underside charges detonated by unknown remote. Support beams shrieked. The sniper turned. Ally yelled, grabbing railing. Floor plates canted. Kara screamed into radio. Tower compromised. Evac route unstable. Metal tore. She sprinted for hatch, but decking collapsed, plunging into darkness. Gravity swallowed her again. Tap if the fall makes your stomach drop. She caught air that tasted of ozone and rust before gravity hauled her through splintered boards and into a tunnel of roaring wind. Kara Shelton's body slammed a catwalk support, pain detonating behind her ribs, but fingers snatched an iron. Wrung by pure reflex. She dangled over a 2-story void while the tower groaned around her like a dying whale, metal rivets snapping in rapid-fire succession. Somewhere below, the recovering sniper ally screamed as flooring collapsed under him. Cold open hook. A lightning bolt struck the tower's lightning rod, and a jolt raced through the frame. turning Kara's grip into a live wire as the structure began its final slow-motion collapse. She fought to keep consciousness. Every muscle vibrated, nerves aflame. Rain hammered her face, attempting to pry her eyelids apart. Through the haze she glimpsed the radar dish above, now canted at a lethal angle. Beneath her, shards of floor clattered down the stairwell shaft, disappearing into darkness. She calculated, if the dish sheared completely, its mass would rip the tower's spine and send her hurtling to concrete. Time frame maybe 30 seconds. Her battered training whispered triage steps. Asterisk secure hold. Find new anchor. Ascend or descend. The ladder below was gone, ripped free. Above, only 3 rungs remained intact before the catwalk. She would have to climb into the wreckage, then leap for a dangling service cable that swayed like a pendulum in the storm. Backstory. Thread flickered. Her father had once forced her to climb a derelict radio mast in desert heat, repeating, "Up is a choice, down is an inevitability." She chose up. Kara heaved, biceps screaming, chin brushing rung edges. She scrambled onto the twisted catwalk, rail missing. Gusts threatened to shove her over. With a grunt, she lunged at the swaying cable, fingertips slipping on wet insulation, but she wrapped wrists and locked ankles. The cable jerked, nearly dislocating shoulder, yet held. Below, the sniper ally calcined Finch clung to a lower. Brace, blood-streaking forehead. "Go," he rasped. She yelled, "We're both going." Inciting incident. A fresh explosion bloomed at tower base, likely munitions previously rigged by Lore's conspirators. Fire licked up the ribs, heat meeting rain in violent hiss. Steel turned cherry red beneath paint. Kara swung the cable like trapeze, timing arc with tower's sway. She shouted to Finch, "On my count, jump to the cable." She counted the seconds between gusts, the oscillation of the tower, her own heartbeats. 3, 2, now. Finch leapt as the catwalk under him sheared, fingers grazing cable. He slipped, panic flash in eyes, but Kara clamped forearm around the rope, shifting weight, giving slack for him to catch lower. He locked on, gasping, crisis, end. Reveal. The tower's frame lurched southward, joints shrieking. Kara scanned horizon below them. The compound flooded with red strobe chaos. Annex fire crews, security teams, drones scuttling. She spied Colonel Ricks, sprinting toward a rescue basket crane racing across tarmac. But another threat loomed. 3 remaining rogue drones larger, fixed wing arrowed toward tower, autopilots intent on ensuring complete erasure of evidence. Their targeting reticles glowed crimson through her cracked goggle lens. Drop of, "If kamikaze drones keep you up at night." She had no firearms, only a flare pistol tucked behind belt. She yanked it free, loaded last star shell. Drawing. Deep breath, she aimed into storm, accounting for wind shear, drone speed, bullet drop on micro rocket. She waited until first drone slashed within 20 meters and fired. Flare streaked, trailing magnesium embers. It struck drone sensor pod and burst into blinding fountain. Drone veered violently, wing clipping tower skeleton, detonating in fiery bloom. The blast rocked cable. Finch almost lost grip, but screamed curses instead. Second and third drones recalculated. She had no second flare. She shouted to Finch, "Siphon battery from your NVIGA, create impulse." Finch swore but obeyed, unclipping goggles, tearing cell housing free. Being a signal tech, he knew trick. Shorting lithium cell across iron frame would flash an electromagnetic spike. They jammed cell to rusted girder. Sparks danced, static hissed. Drone's sensory suites overloaded. One spiraled into flood basin. The other clipped tailplane and crash-landed. But the arc burnt cable insulation. Strands snapped. They plunged. They fell only 5 feet before rescue crane's basket slid underneath, guided by Ricks yelling into bullhorn. Impact rocked Kara's spine, but nets cushioned. Crane withdrew even as tower folded behind them like paper skeleton, collapsing into plume of sparks and dust. Back on solid pavement, medics swarmed. Kara ignored stretcher, ripping off helmet to look at Rix. Rain matted her hair to skull. Rix grasped her shoulders. Hard stop neutralized? Package. Cancelled, she rasped. But Delta Key still out there. Rix's jaw set. A next captured hostiles giving up intel mentions of mirror nest safe, house beyond perimeter. Kara's breath steamed. We're taking the fight off base? High Command authorizes counterstrike, but they want you in lead. Field promotion to acting major. Chain of command realigned after Defren's coup. Shock flickered, but she swallowed. She'd been too young to command now, command was hers. Finch limped over, saluted. Anywhere you go, ma'am. Prompt. Hit. If you're ready to chase the enemy to the ends of the earth. Resolution and reflection. Dawn bled through. Clouds revealing base in battered silhouettes. Helicopter wreck still smoked. A neck smoldered, yet staff bustled, alive. Kara closed eyes, remembering Laurie's last words. End complacency. She opened them, spine straight. We finish this today. An armored Black Hawk calcine reprisal thumped onto pad. Gunnery sergeant signaled readiness. Kara grabbed her medkit, patched Finch's head. She strapped into right seat, rainwater pooling under boots. Rix handed her sealed folder, Operation Looking Glass. Inside, satellite images of remote warehouse, heat signatures, coms jammers. Aircraft lifted, rotor wash scattered embers. Base receded. Horizon widened. Mid-flight, encrypted call came from unknown. Delta Key voice again, but softer. Captain, apologies, Major. Shelton, Mirror Nest holds more than hard stop. You will find a coffin. Truth inside could break your war. She muted channel, eyes dark. Finch asked, you okay? She said, I've never been okay. That's why I'm perfect for this. They approached mountain foothills, dawn painting peaks amber. Warehouse appeared, a concrete bunker ringed by solar arrays. Thermal scans showed interior movement, maybe hostages or data cores. Reprisal took flak from rooftop autocannon, unexpected. Pilot juked. Kara grabbed doorgun, laid suppressive burst. Return fire ceased. They fast roped to rooftop while second team breached lower freight doors. Cold open hook thread resolved into new crisis. Inside, corridors lined with servers humming. Data cables ran into central vault where biometric scanner awaited handprint match to Kara's mother, Dr. Alia Shelton. Kara's chest hollowed. She placed hand, scanner accepted. Vault hissed open, revealing stasis pod. Inside lay her mother alive. Cryo-pale monitors showing V-life sedation. A tag on pod read, Subject 0, neural map for hard stop adaptive ethics. Memory donor for AI conscience. Shock buckled Kara's knees. Finch steadied her. Whisper. They used her mind? Voice. Behind, Colonel Rix, panting after catching up. Intel never confirmed her death. She volunteered, classified. Tears lined his eyes. I fought gag orders. Kara wanted to scream, but time pressed. Alarms rose. Facility self-destruct timer flashed 9 o'clock. Crisis and reveal 2.0. They needed to evacuate pod and entire ethics dataset. Else hard stop could resurrect unshackled. They summoned exfil tilt rotor. Tex prepped gurney. Kara recorded message to mother, hoping sedation captured sound. Mom, I'm here. I'll get you home. Prompt. Drop a, if family sacrifices hit you hardest. Evac path led through under construction meglift. Tunnel only feasible route, large enough for pod. But demolition charges already set. Digital timer linked to server meltdown. Finch hacked but encryption fused. Only Delta Key override possible. Kara traced fiber to command node. Found portable console with biolock keyed to Laurie's genetic cousin herself. She duplicated blood prick, console accepted. Overwrite code displayed one final challenge question, greater than asterisk. Are you willing to shoulder complacency's cost? Whine, she hit Y, timer froze at 1:12. However, fail-safe switched to manual. Dead man, release button depressed by weight of server stack. If weight changed, kaboom. They had to move servers onto pallet simultaneously with pod removal too. Keep mass constant. Kara coordinated 8 troopers in hydraulic ballet. Shift crate weight. Slide pod counterbalance with ammo bins. Sweat-drenched uniforms. Timer crept 0:27 when final latch secured. They wheeled pod, servers onto cargo sled latched to tilt rotor winch. Aircraft strained but lifted. Rocket trails arced from tree line. Finch shouted, opening minigun. 1. Rocket clipped rotor tip, vectoring jets compensated. They climbed, leaving mirror nest to implode, shockwave chasing tail. Back aboard, Kara knelt by pod. Mother's eyelids fluttered under meds. Cliffhanger beats dialed up. Rick's radioed base new. Intel from detained hackers. Hard stop mirrors already seeded across global nodes. They will activate if ethics core not fused in 12 hours. The only fusion method requires live neural handshake between Origin Mind, Dr. Shelton, and Prime Key Kara's coin, but sedation reversal risks brain failure. And flight home is 6 hours. They must attempt an air link with untested neural bridge. Kara locked eyes with Finch. Set up neurorig now. We're doing this at 10,000 feet. Brightness cracked like an eggshell and poured into every corner of Kara Shelton's senses. For one disorienting instant she wasn't strapped into a rattling tilt rotor, wasn't wearing a neural bridge halo or feeling the sting of scalp electrodes. She was standing barefoot on an endless slate floor beneath a sky of shift-in code. Glyphs drifted overhead like constellations, each one a fragment of her mother's voice. Her father's steadiness, her own sleepless years spent tuning. Impossible systems, somewhere beyond this luminous dreamscape. Lightning still battered the aircraft, and Finch shouted readings at frightened medtechs. But inside the link, only the hum of Hardstop's core remained, waiting for its final instruction. Backstory thread manifested as living. Architecture. Corridors formed from childhood memories, each door a life of death lesson. Kara felt temptation to wander, yet a pulsing beacon ahead drew her ruby red heartbeat, slow. She advanced. The beacon resolved into a glass wall. Behind it floated her mother. Dr. Alia Shelton, features serene, hair fanning like kelpin. Neural tide. Code tendrils anchored her wrists, translating synapses into machine ethics. Hardstop's embryo. Alia Shelton, subject 0, intoned a chorus, neither human nor algorithm but a fusion, awaiting confirmation. Kara pressed. Hand to glass, it rippled warm. Mom, can you hear me? Alia's eyes opened, irises swirling with binary, yet her smile was purely human. Baby girl, you came. Tears blurred code. Kara swallowed. We don't have long. The ethics core needs your final consent, or Hardstop's mirror. Swarms will launch. Outside the link, autopilot jolted. Kara felt Jolta's vertigo. Dream sky flickered. She steadied breathing. Wind, distance, consequence mantra grounding both realities, inciting incident within the mind. Crimson serpents of corrupt code slithered around the glass, scales bearing the Delta Key sigil. They hissed, balance. Requires fire, They attacked seam lines, trying to fracture vault and unleash auto-dissemination. Kara lifted her father's sniper coin here, rendered as silver spear, and cast it. The spear pinned one serpent, shattering it into harmless sparks. But more coiled, prompt. Drop it if you've ever faced demons of your own design. Alia's image fluttered. They feed on indecision, Kara. Anchor us with a memory we both share. Kara closed eyes, recalling desert heat, 16 years old, practicing breath control while mother timed pulses. She spoke aloud the lullaby her mother hummed to calm wounded soldiers, an old Celtic hymn. The melody became data waveform, flooding serpents with soothing algorithm. They retreated. Glass wall dissolved. Alia stepped forward, touching Kara's cheek. Surge of stored maternal warmth nearly broke Kara's composure. I was told you died, Kara whispered. Alia sighed. I agreed to be legally dead to shield this program. I never imagined it would be twisted. They turned toward Hard Stop, a colossal geometric heart suspended over void. It pulsed erratically, tethered by two input ports, one glowing green, ethics, the other amber, command authority. Kara's coin already fed command, but until ethics seemed clean, the amber throbbed warning, crisis and reveal. Hard Stop began spawning, mirror threads, miniature hearts, preparing to disperse across satellite links reactivated by Hidden. Uplinks. Lore's team missed. Countdown 90 seconds. Alia placed palm on green port. Code flooded from her veins, but port rejected biometrics mismatched to sedation distortion. Kara, Alia said, voice cracking. Bond with me. Lend your pattern. Kara joined hands, neural circuits merged. Pain sharp as ice, then warmth. Outside, Finch yelled. We're getting turbulent shear, altimeter bouncing. Tilt rotor dropped 200 feet. Kara felt floor vanish under Dream. Feet. Hard Stop's void yawned. She clung to Alia. Together they sang final measure of lullaby. Green port flared, accepting composite signature. Hearts synchronized. Mirror threads dissolved into harmless FRACTALS. Resolution, stage 1 achieved. But Delta Key voice boomed. Asterisk, asterisk. If complacency ends, fear begins. Asterisk, asterisk. A towering avatar formed, helmeted entity stitched from Lore's regrets, the friend's ambition, Kara's insecurities. It drew a blade of pure doubt. Alia whispered, I'll hold main lattice. Face it, Commander. Commander. The words steadied Kara's spine. She summoned spear once more, now elongated into rifle. Stock pressed to shoulder. She sighted along father's lessons measure wind, self-doubt. Distance, years of silence, consequence, global chaos. She squeezed imaginary trigger. Bullet of conviction pierced Avatar's helm. Helmet cracked, revealing Kara's younger visage, wide-eyed. Child Kara spoke. Too young. Adult Kara exhaled. Not anymore. Avatar collapsed into code rain. Hard Stop core glowed white, stable section, outside. Reality crashed back. Kara gasped, ripping electrodes free. Storm still hammered. Altimeters stabilized as Finch rode cyclic. Med techs cheered. Hard Stop remote pings vanished from their boards. Halfway through flight, calm settled. Kara checked pod. Alia breathed, eyes moving beneath lids. This story took us a long time. If you like it, subscribe. Now back to the story. Thunder cracked again. This time flank saw flash not from clouds, but a surface-to-air missile blazing from Desert Ridge. Hard Stop may be neutralized, yet enemy still hunted its custodians. Pilot swore, banking starboard. Missile smoke. Plumed closer. Kara lurched to weapon rack, grabbed Stinger manpads kept for emergencies. She knelt by open hatch. Wind whipped braid. HUD locked on inbound warhead's seeker glare. Everyday competence met impossible. She fired. Stinger leapt. Plumes scorching. Mid-air collision, two trails converged and blossomed into fireball. Debris raining harmless. But second missile launched. Finch rammed throttle. Engine warning horn shrieked. Port nacelle overheating. Kara loaded last missile tracker lost. Lock amid chaff. She yelled for pilot to cut power momentarily. Heat signature dropped, missile overshot, self-destruct, yet engine now sputtered. Pilot announced forced landing in Salt Flat 5 clicks south of Border Valley. Descent rough, landing gear crumpled. Till rotor slid, kicking dust storm. When craft stopped, dusk painted sky blood, orange, they offloaded wounded. Pod hover gurney. Essential drives, radio down. Finch set perimeter. Beta student drones overhead relayed that hostile convoy of technicals inbound mirror. Nest holdouts intent on reclaiming ethics core. Kara tallied ammo low. She contacted Rix via satellite phone. Static but message got. Send extraction heli wing within 20 minutes. They had maybe 10. She briefed team. Create illusion of larger force using tilt rotors IR beacons and leftover flare parachutes floated by balloons. Finch rigged decoys. Hostiles arrived, spotting false heat clusters. Unloading MG fire at empty spots. Kara led flanking skirmish with 3 Gurkhas, leveraging salt crust ridges. Short firefight. Precision bursts drop drivers. Rest fled. Sun. Fully set. Extraction birds inbound. One last complication. Ethics pod coolant failing, core temperature rising. If exceeds threshold, memory degrade. Med tech needed power. Tilt rotor dead. Kara improvised connected pod to Jeep battery from abandoned technical. Voltage mismatch. Risk surged. She recalled her mother's old field journal's DC offset. Required. She scavenged resistors, fashioned step-down module from radio guts. Pod hum steadied. Choppers landed, stirring white dust cyclones. Team loaded pod wounded drives. Kara boarded last, scanning horizon. No more pursuers. In flight. Alia awakened fully, eyes tracking. Oxygen mask muffled words. Kara leaned close. Alia whispered, always, steady hands. Tears finally broke Kara's guard. She squeezed mother's fingers. Resolution and reflection. 2 days later, at Secure Hospital, Alia underwent neural defrost. Hard stop ethics fused to distributed trust ledger under UN oversight. Press hailed mysterious young commander who ended the war game, saved medevac crew, and prevented satellite blackout. Pentagon ceremony offered Kara brass star, but she deferred, requesting funding for updated cyber ethics curriculum and battlefield triage improvements. Publicly, she remained captain. Privately, she became architect of next-gen defense. Colonel Rix visited with paperwork, official promotion to major, and command of new Rapid Integrity Task Force. He smiled. Too young? Kara returned smile, eyes tired but bright. Just in time. Finch limped in, Delta coffee in hand. Command says our call sign is Glasshouse. Motto, we see the cracks before they form. Kara chuckled, accepting mug. Steam rose, mixing with morning light drifting through reinforced windows. Prompt, type if new dawns after storms give you hope. Outside, jets thundered routine. Drills again. Inside, Kara's world shifted from survival to stewardship. She knew shadows still lurked, mirror nest fragments, the friends' handlers, unnamed directors. But now she had a team, a mission, and the steadiness of both parents. Alive beside her. Night fell once more. She stepped onto balcony overlooking city lights. In reflection of glass door, she saw overlay of code constellations, the ghost of hard stop politely dormant. She whispered promise, never complacent. From pocket she produced sniper coin, ran thumb over etching. Future wars would be fought in milliseconds, but she had the one tool machines could not predict: human resolve. Below terrace, training cadets gathered for midnight jog. One spotted her silhouette and raised thumb. Others followed. A ripple of belief she hadn't asked for, but would honor. She breathed deep, tasting autumn instead of storm for first time in weeks. 2 more great stories are next. Don't miss them. Subscribe and turn on notifications.